Have you ever walked away from a conversation and only later realized you were manipulated? Maybe it was a friend guilt-tripping you, a boss twisting your words, or someone close using your emotions as a weapon. You felt trapped, powerless, and angry, like you were forced to play their game. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And that includes the games manipulators play. Today, I want to show you how Stoicism gives us the tools to handle manipulation without lowering ourselves, without playing dirty, and without losing our peace. If you value content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us grow this community of people striving to live with wisdom, strength, and calm. Number 1, recognizing manipulation without panic. The first step is awareness. A manipulator thrives on your confusion. They twist reality, plant doubts, or appeal to your emotions in ways that make you second-guess yourself. Stoicism teaches us to train the mind, to pause and notice what is happening without immediately reacting. The moment you recognize, this person is trying to control me, you've already broken half of their power. Most of us panic when we sense manipulation. We either lash out or give in because we feel trapped. But Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you stay calm, you refuse to be rushed into a decision. You hold on to your reason, which manipulators hate. They want speed, not thought. Think of it like a chess game. If you move too quickly, you fall for the trap. If you slow down, breathe, and observe, you see the board clearly. This calm recognition is not weakness. It's the beginning of strength. And here's the funny part. Manipulators expect drama. When you don't give them the reaction they're fishing for, it feels like trying to box with a statue. They swing, but nothing moves. Number 2, protecting your inner fortress. Stoics believed in building an inner fortress of the mind, a place untouchable by outside forces. Manipulation only works when it finds cracks. Your need for approval, your fear of rejection, or your hunger for validation. The manipulator presses these buttons because they know where you're vulnerable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it." In other words, manipulators succeed only when you give their tricks too much importance. By reminding yourself that their games are noise, not truth, you protect your peace. A practical way to do this is to detach emotionally before responding. Imagine their words as wind passing by. You don't need to fight the wind. You only need to stay rooted. If their guilt-tripping or flattery doesn't touch your self-worth, you become unshakable. And yes, sometimes this calmness drives manipulators crazy. They expect to push a button and see sparks fly. Instead, you sit there like, is that supposed to move me? It's like watching someone press the elevator button 50 times and the door still won't open. Number 3, responding without playing dirty. One of the hardest lessons in Stoicism is restraint. When manipulated, we often want revenge, to expose them, shame them, or use their own tactics against them. But playing dirty makes you no better than them. Stoicism offers a higher path. Respond with reason, not spite. The key is clarity. When someone tries to twist your words, calmly bring the conversation back to facts. If they guilt-trip you, remind yourself that guilt is their tool, not your truth. You don't need sharp comebacks or insults. Instead, you need steady boundaries and simple words. Epictetus said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" Notice the humor and calm strength in that. He shows us that we can disarm manipulation not with anger, but with composure. And here's a light moment. Manipulators are like magicians. They want you to look at the trick, not the truth. The best way to win is to not play along. Just calmly say, "Nice trick," and keep walking. Nothing frustrates them more than an audience who refuses to clap. Number 4, setting boundaries the Stoic way. Stoicism doesn't mean being passive, it means being wise. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful tools against manipulation. A manipulator feeds on blurred lines. They want to pull you into guilt, fear, or obligation. But when you clearly state what you will and will not accept, you create walls they cannot pass. Boundaries don't need to be loud or aggressive. They could be as simple as, "I'm not comfortable with this," or "that doesn't work for me." The Stoic approach is calm, firm, and consistent. You don't need to explain endlessly or justify yourself, because truth doesn't need decoration. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to speak the truth as you see it, calmly and plainly. That's all a boundary is, truth expressed with clarity. The moment you state your boundary, you take back control. And let's be honest, sometimes the look on a manipulator's face when they realize you won't bend is priceless. It's like trying to push open a door that turns out to be made of steel. They expected a weak hinge, and instead they hit a wall. Number 5, walking away with dignity. The greatest Stoic response to manipulation is the courage to walk away. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every manipulator deserves your time. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." If someone constantly tries to use you, they're not improving you, they're draining you. Walking away doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. It's saying, "My peace is more valuable than your games." Sometimes the most powerful move is silence, distance, and indifference. You don't need to explain. You don't need revenge. You simply step out of their circle of control. This doesn't only apply to relationships. It could be a workplace, a toxic friendship, or even a family member. Walking away may not always mean cutting ties completely, but it always means refusing to dance to their tune. And here's the ironic humor. Manipulators love to think they're in control. But when you walk away, you flip the script. They lose the one thing they crave the most, your attention. Number 6, understanding the psychology of manipulators. Manipulators aren't always evil masterminds. Many of them act from insecurity. They fear losing control, so they try to control others. When you understand this, you stop seeing them as powerful monsters and start seeing them as desperate people clinging to weak tactics. Stoicism reminds us to judge actions, not people. Marcus Aurelius often reflected that wrongdoers act out of ignorance, not strength. The manipulator believes their games are necessary. They think they must deceive to get what they want. Knowing this helps you respond with clarity instead of hate. This doesn't mean excusing manipulation. It means refusing to let it poison your spirit. You can see their motives clearly, just as you'd see smoke rising from fire. You don't need to run into the flames. You simply notice and adjust. And here's the humor. Once you see through manipulation, it loses its magic. It's like watching a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat and realizing there's a trapdoor. Suddenly, the trick isn't scary anymore. It's just a rabbit with stage fright. Number 7, mastering the pause before you respond. One of the manipulator's greatest weapons is speed. They pressure you to decide quickly, to react emotionally, to get caught in their rhythm. Stoicism gives you a counterattack, the pause. That brief silence where you reclaim control of your mind. Epictetus taught that events themselves don't disturb us. It's our judgments that do. The pause gives you time to examine your judgment. Is this true? Am I being pressured? Am I being pushed into something I'll regret? The pause is your shield. This doesn't need to be long. Even a few seconds of silence can break their spell. You breathe, gather your thoughts, and respond with calm. A manipulator hates this because their weapon is urgency. When you don't rush, their plan collapses. And let's admit it, silence can be hilarious. Ever notice how uncomfortable people get when you just don't respond immediately? It's like handing them a microphone and walking off stage. They don't know what to do with it. Number 8, strengthening emotional detachment. Manipulation works best when emotions run wild. Guilt, flattery, fear, these are their tools. But the Stoics teach us that emotions are not chains unless we let them be. By practicing detachment, We create space between stimulus and response. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that insults and praise are just opinions. If you anchor your self-worth in these external judgments, you're easy to manipulate. But if you ground yourself in virtue and being honest, disciplined, and wise, then no emotional trick can shake you. Detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or robotic. It means refusing to let temporary emotions cloud your judgment. You still feel, but you don't get carried away. Like a sailor who notices the storm but keeps steering the ship. Here's the funny side. Manipulators expect you to play the emotional ping pong game. When you don't, they're left smacking the ball against the wall. And guess what? The wall always wins. Number 9. Practicing indifference to insults and praise. Manipulators often alternate between insults and flattery. They tear you down, then lift you up, all to control how you feel. But Stoicism teaches us to treat both insults and praise with indifference. Neither defines who you are. Seneca wrote, "What is disgraceful is not to be wronged, but to wrong." In other words, your dignity doesn't depend on what others say. It depends on how you live. If someone praises you falsely, it adds nothing. If they insult you unfairly, it takes nothing away. By practicing this indifference, you remove the manipulator's strongest tools. Their compliments won't sway you, and their insults won't shake you. You stand steady, rooted in your own values. And let's laugh for a moment. Praise from a manipulator is like being crowned Employee of the Month by someone who doesn't own the company. It looks shiny, but it means nothing. Number 10. Living above the game. The final Stoic lesson is to live above the game. Manipulators want you in the mud, wrestling with them, proving yourself, reacting to their moves. But Stoicism teaches that dignity comes from refusing to step down into the dirt. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to live according to nature and reason, not to the schemes of others. When you live by your principles, you rise above manipulation because you no longer need their approval, their rewards, or their validation. This is the ultimate freedom, to live by virtue, to act with integrity, and to choose peace over conflict. When manipulators see this, they lose interest because they cannot trap someone who doesn't play their game. And honestly, the sight of a manipulator realizing they can't control you, priceless. It's like watching a cat pounce on a shadow. They leap with confidence, land on nothing, and walk away pretending they meant to do that. The Stoic way of handling manipulation is not about outsmarting or overpowering. It's about refusing to give your mind away. Recognize their tricks, pause before reacting, detach from emotions, treat insults and praise alike, and rise above the game. In doing so, you win, not by beating them at their game, but by refusing to play at all. If this gave you strength today, make sure to like and subscribe. That way we can keep walking this path together, calm, wise, and untouchable.